Trey Lance. Wow! The $1,000,000 question that the San Francisco 49ers have for Trey Lance. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Trey Lance potentially being on his last chance to be a starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. Even though the 49ers traded up 3 future first-round picks for Trey Lance back in the 2021 NFL Draft, Trey Lance has failed to live up to expectations as he has constantly been injured throughout his first 2 NFL seasons. With the emergence of Brock Purdy and the addition of Sam Darnold, it is certainly fair to wonder if Trey Lance is the odd man out. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. Will Trey Lance ever succeed on the 49ers? And honestly, that's going to come down to whether or not Trey Lance is going to be getting a lot of playing time for the San Francisco 49ers. The biggest thing for Trey Lance right now is to make sure that he can find a way to be available in all the games that he can be, because Trey Lance has not been able to play in a lot of games in the NFL. When Trey Lance was drafted in 2021, there was the expectation that he would eventually replace Jimmy Garoppolo and that he would be able to be far more durable than Jimmy Garoppolo. However, despite the fact that Jimmy G is basically Jimmy Glass, Trey Lance has actually become more injury prone than Jimmy Garoppolo. Trey Lance has only played in 8 NFL games in 2 years, and more importantly, he has only started 4 NFL games in his NFL career, which is very little considering the fact that he has already had 2 seasons of professional football on his resume. When we talk about health is the biggest thing that you can talk about for a quarterback, because how do you get better as a quarterback? You play on the football field, or if you don't play on the football field, you're always available for all of your practices, because that's where you go and learn from your mistakes. That's where you go ahead and try to develop your skills. But Trey Lance hasn't had that time to get better from his skills. Trey Lance was a very raw prospect coming out of North Dakota State. Trey Lance was a talented passer who could throw very deep, but we all knew that Trey Lance had mechanical flaws throwing the football. We knew that Trey Lance had footwork issues. We knew that Trey Lance had an unorthodox throwing motion. We know that Trey Lance needed to have some things cleaned up, but it's hard to have those skills cleaned up when you're constantly injured and when you're spending your time in rehab more often than not. You don't get better as a player when you're in rehab. You get better as a player when you're playing on the football field, whether it's in practice, whether it's in the games. Either way though, Trey Lance has missed out on the opportunity to get better as a player during his 2 seasons in the NFL. And more importantly, you look at Trey Lance's final collegiate season. He did not get to play in a lot of games in his final collegiate season, albeit that wasn't his fault. That was because of COVID-19, and they canceled a lot of the games that North Dakota State was playing. But Trey Lance has not been able to see a lot of action on the football field whatsoever. The last time Trey Lance got to play major football, that was back in 2019. 2019 is a long time ago. To put that into perspective, Dwayne Haskins was still a starting quarterback in the National Football League in 2019. If you guys don't know who Dwayne Haskins is, well, he's deceased now, and he's been a major draft bust in that time span, which, you know what, that just shows you how long ago that it has been since Trey Lance last played meaningful football. 2019 is a long time from 2023, and Trey Lance hasn't necessarily had time to get better because he hasn't been able to practice a lot, and he hasn't been able to play a lot of football in general. And more importantly, when he has played on the football field, he hasn't been very impressive for the San Francisco 49ers whatsoever. I don't think Trey Lance is ever going to succeed on the 49ers unless the 49ers go ahead and give him playing time, or they at least give him the backup QB spot, which right now it doesn't even seem like it's going to be a given, or at least it's not going to be a guarantee. That's for sure. When you talk about the San Francisco 49ers, they won a lot of games with Jimmy Garoppolo. The way they treated Jimmy Garoppolo, they treated him like crap. And I get it. Jimmy Garoppolo, he wasn't the best passer in the world, and he was injury prone. But you know who was really injury prone? Trey Lance. Trey Lance made Jimmy Garoppolo look like he was Iron Man, because every time Trey Lance stepped on an NFL field, he always found a way to get injured more often than not. If you've only started 4 NFL games in the NFL, how are you already going to get injured twice during that 4-game stretch? Not even Jimmy Garoppolo showed signs of being that injury prone in his first 4 starts of his NFL career. Yeah, he got hurt once on the Patriots, but that was just one time. Trey Lance has gotten hurt multiple times. And the thing with Trey Lance is his play style suggests that he's going to continue getting injured because he plays the position like a battering fullback. It's not even like Trey Lance has the speed of Michael Vick or the speed of prime Colin Kaepernick or the elusiveness of Russell Wilson. And he tries to truck people like he's Cam Newton, except that he doesn't have the power that Cam Newton had. And he tries to play that way, and it's just not very smart for Trey Lance to go ahead and play that way. Not everybody can develop into a Josh Allen or a Cam Newton type of player, or even a Lamar Jackson type of player. It's just too hard to do. And also, here's the other thing too. We know that Kyle Shanahan, and by the way, Kyle Shanahan's a great head coach. If I was a quarterback, I would love to play for Kyle Shanahan. But we all know that Kyle Shanahan does not prefer the type of quarterback play that Trey Lance showcases, because we know that Kyle Shanahan wants his quarterbacks to play like a machine. Look, the way that Kyle Shanahan calls plays on offense, the way that he draws up these plays, he wants the quarterback to be able to just follow his instructions, follow the directions that the play is telling him to go ahead and do. There's not really a lot of progressions that need to be made in the Kyle Shanahan type of offense. There's not really a lot of athleticism involved in order to be successful in a Kyle Shanahan type of offense, but that scheme does not fit Trey Lance whatsoever. And I don't think any NFL scheme fits Trey Lance whatsoever. Trey Lance looks like he is getting exposed as a former FCS quarterback. There's a reason why a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL are not from the FCS. Guys like Trey Lance certainly are not helping the cause for future FCS quarterbacks that are looking to make a jump into the NFL. Trey Lance looks like he was only drafted because he had a lot of talent on his hands. Look, we know Trey Lance can run the football. We know that Trey Lance has a cannon for an arm, but Trey Lance hasn't been able to show that he can put that together on the football field. Now, as far as this season, whether he's going to succeed or not, I'm still not sure if he's going to succeed. I don't think he's going to. I think there's a greater than 50% chance of Trey Lance not finishing the season as the 49ers starting quarterback. And I say that because Trey Lance has been injury prone, and when he hasn't been injured, he hasn't been very good whatsoever. When he started week 1 against the Chicago Bears last season, he made the Chicago Bears look like the 1985 Chicago Bears with the way that they were playing defense on Trey Lance. To put into perspective how bad the Chicago Bears were last year, they were the worst team in the NFL record-wise last season. But Trey Lance couldn't even beat them, despite the fact that he had a stacked roster in his hands. And I know that some people might be saying the 49ers roster is even better now than what they were during Trey Lance's time. But honestly, if you're that guy in the NFL, you got to be able to succeed on the San Francisco 49ers. And if guys like Sam Darnold outplay you in training camp, that's going to be a major problem. And here's the thing with the San Francisco 49ers and Trey Lance as well. Trey Lance wouldn't even be getting this opportunity to be an NFL starter again if Brock Purdy hadn't gotten hurt in the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Brock Purdy has shown that he can be a good quarterback if you put the right pieces around him. Brock Purdy has never lost a game while playing in an entire game. Brock Purdy has shown signs of being able to understand Kyle Shanahan's offense and being able to play effectively off the bench. Trey Lance has not shown that he could do that, at least not yet in the NFL. So if Brock Purdy returns back healthy, Trey Lance is probably going to ride the bench. But we'll see though. We'll see. Maybe they go ahead and start Trey Lance one more time because they could say, okay, we've given up 3 first-round picks for this dude, and he's only started in 4 NFL games. We need to get tape out on this guy. We need to let him play while we let Brock Purdy recover even more from his elbow injury, because elbow injuries are not easy to heal from. If they could say to Trey Lance, okay, we'll give you one more chance to start. Go ahead and start week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and if you suck, we're going to go ahead and pull you. And if you play well and win, we're going to keep you in the starting line. I believe that's what's going to happen to Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is going to be the week 1 starter for the 49ers. The 49ers are going to give him one final chance to go ahead and prove himself, and Trey Lance is probably going to go ahead and struggle against that vaunted Pittsburgh Steelers defense, which means that Trey Lance is probably going to be heading back to the bench by the middle of week 2 if he's not going to get injured, because Trey Lance is already very injury prone to begin with, and I don't anticipate that changing into year 3. Guys that are injury prone early on, they don't typically tend to get better with these kind of injuries. They only tend to get worse, and Trey Lance hasn't necessarily had a lot of time to get better as a quarterback because he has spent so much time in rehab instead of being able to throw it out there on the practice field whatsoever. So I think Trey Lance is not going to go ahead and succeed because he's going to give way to either Sam Darnold or Brock Purdy. Overall, though, for the San Francisco 49ers, though, I think the biggest thing for them is they've got to find an identity at the quarterback position. They got to be able to find one quarterback and be able to stick with him, and also be able to protect these quarterbacks as well. Because here's the thing with Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan's a fantastic coach. He's one of the best offensive minds in all of football. But one of the concerns that I do have for Kyle Shanahan is the fact that the San Francisco 49ers seem to have to use 3 quarterbacks almost every single season. Since Kyle Shanahan was hired back in 2017 for the San Francisco 49ers, they have had to use 3 different quarterbacks on at least 4 different occasions: 2017, 2018, 2020, and 2022. Kyle Shanahan's quarterbacks just don't seem to stay healthy for whatever reason. I know some people might say, oh, it's just a Jimmy Garoppolo issue, but it's not even really just a Jimmy Garoppolo issue. You're looking at the other quarterbacks too. You look at guys like CJ Beathard, you look at guys like Nick Mullins, you look at guys like Trey Lance even, or even Brock Purdy, or even Josh Johnson. All these quarterbacks keep getting hurt in the Kyle Shanahan scheme. I don't know, maybe it's just a coincidence or something, but there seems to be a certain trend going on with Kyle Shanahan where even though his quarterbacks are having a fun time out there and playing well in spurts, they always seem to get injured one way or another. I think injury is going to do Trey Lance in again for a 3rd consecutive season, but even if Trey Lance doesn't get injured, he's going to struggle on the football field because Trey Lance doesn't have the necessary skills in order to be a seasoned passer. I mean, I could see what some people are saying with the fact that Trey Lance is probably begging for another chance with the San Francisco 49ers, considering the fact that he's on his last straw with the Niners because of the fact that the Niners already have 2 other quarterbacks in the quarterback room. Either way, though, I don't see Trey Lance having success for the 49ers this season or any season moving forward because of the fact that Trey Lance will struggle to stay on the football field. And even if he doesn't struggle to stay on the football field, he'll struggle to read NFL defenses and make good decisions with the football just because of the fact that Trey Lance is so raw and the San Francisco 49ers don't have any time to clean up his mistakes whatsoever, because the first time that he makes a mistake, he's probably going to be heading to the bench because they probably want to go ahead and go back to Brock Purdy or even try out Sam Darnold, potentially speaking. So that is why Trey Lance will not succeed on the 49ers, as he has failed to show any signs of being able to stay healthy in the NFL. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and @Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.